They say an idea gets better the more you share it. The Code for Corporate Citizenship, which I'm going to speak about tonight, is a simple idea. My hope is that after leaving here tonight, you will feel more empowered and will share it widely. In a nutshell, my message this evening is that companies inflicting severe damage on the environment are encouraged to continue by the corporate law. When governments of the world are unable to stop the damage, it continues to build. To prevent this, I believe the profit motive in the corporate law must be modified to make corporations less destructive from the day they are organized. I call this solution the Code for Corporate Citizenship. When in the future, a company is discovered to be severely damaging the environment, the code will require its directors, its own directors, to make it stop, regardless of whether the company is complying with other existing law. Over the last 30 years, we've tried numerous ways to halt the global emission of greenhouse gases. 27 conferences of the parties on the environment have been held where the nations of the world got together and pledged to do something about the problem. Delegates to the COPs then returned home and proposed new laws to restrict greenhouse gas emissions. Economist investment bankers got into the act and offered carbon trading, carbon taxes, and carbon offsets. Accountants suggested requiring the disclosure of carbon footprints. And finally, socially responsible investing and corporate social responsibility movement, now called ESG, standing for companies showing more respect for the environment, society, and good corporate governance, have each tried to entice industry to cut emissions voluntarily. But overall, these strategies have had little success. Global emissions continue to rise. What was a potential problem when we started has now become an emergency. So what should directors do today when they discover their business is causing severe harm to the environment? Their company is complying with all laws and is highly profitable. Closing its destructive operations will involve writing off billions. Modifying those operations may involve new research and development at a high cost and risk. The corporate law says the directors are acting in the best interest of the corporation without any need to protect the environment. In these circumstances, it is unlikely, as we have seen, directors will decide to stop or modify their business to make it less destructive. How could that be in their company's best interest? Rather, it's more likely they'll spend millions greenwashing or lobbying politicians to prevent changes in the law which could make the damage stop. They might cut back on the damage they're causing if the cost is small or the public relations value is high. But when the costs are high, companies aren't going to incur these costs by stopping or changing voluntarily. This is how the law encourages directors to let their company's destructive behavior continue. Worse, it actually justifies it. Let me explain why this is a problem, especially for democracies. When individuals or companies cause harm, governments are supposed to respond by passing laws which require them to change their behavior. The new laws carry penalties, which government is supposed to use to punish violators and deter others. At least that's the theory. When it works, and it works most of the time, the destruction stops. The people's security and the public interest is preserved. This is the benefit we all receive, when we give up a portion of our freedom and agree to be ruled by a government of laws. But what happens in the situation when government is unable to pass laws protecting the environment from severe harm? We can see it now every day. The destruction continues. This is the position we are now in with respect to greenhouse gas emissions. When the damage can't be stopped, people can lose faith in their democracy. Worse, they can lose hope for the future. It's time to recognize democracies can't always pass new laws protecting us from corporate destructive behavior, and start looking for solutions which eliminate the possibility of that behavior arising in the first place. Today, most businesses recognize the value of being perceived green. Public relations people talk about how their companies take the environment into consideration. Now, taking the environment into consideration is fine for the vast majority of companies which aren't causing a severe harm to the environment anyway. However, it's insufficient for those emitting significant quantities of greenhouse gases. These companies need to be pushed to do more than just take the environment into consideration. The code will do just that. The evidence is clear. People want their businesses to protect the environment. The technology is there to do it. It's time the burning of fossil fuels to generate electric power or power our motor vehicles passed into history. The code will make it the law. In conclusion, I want to say that democracy is a system of government that depends heavily on its citizens' self-regulatory respect for the environment and the public interest. It's called citizenship. Creating large institutions with all the rights of citizenship and none of its obligations was probably never going to end well. The climate emergency proves that an economy based on companies proceeding without guardrails to protect the environment from severe harm is unsustainable. Corporate directors must be obligated to protect the environment from severe harm at all times. Whenever a company is discovered to be severely damaging the environment, the code will require its own directors to make it stop. Raising the bar on corporate behavior in this manner will protect the earth and inure to the highest good of all. Please start sharing the code with your friends, family, and elected representatives. Thank you.